Okay, today's lesson is on patterns, and we're going to be making patterns and texture, and we're going to be making some patterned fish. And these are going to be fish, a school of fish, and we're going to use our imaginations and get real creative on our patterning. But the first thing we need to do to make the school of fish is to give something in the foreground. And what I'm going to do is put some seaweed, or you can have this as coral or a sea anemone. We're going to put something in the foreground, and this is going to create some depth in our painting and picture. This will make it so that things are in the front, things are in the middle, and things are in the back. And if you look at the seaweed here, there's no patterning on my seaweed. That way we have a little contrast, which is the difference between something. So we have very patterned and detailed fish, and then very plain seaweed. That way we can see the seaweed. So we want to put the seaweed in, and then that'll be our first layer of something. So we're going to go ahead and put our seaweed. You can start anywhere on your page, and you want to vary the height, because in art, variation is real important. That way everything isn't the same, because if everything's the same, it's going to be boring. So if you went ahead and did 3 dots on your paper, okay, 1 low, 1 high, and maybe 1 medium. So anywhere on this paper, now my paper is being held vertically. So I've done 3 dots on my paper, low, high, medium. But you can do it high, low, medium. You can arrange this any way. Once you've done your 3 dots, you're going to just make a gentle curve to the bottom of your page. So bring this down. I'm going down vertically, and I'm just going to make a line, and it does not have to be straight, and just go right down to the bottom of your page. Right there. And there's no right or wrong to this. It's just 3 lines going down to the bottom of the page with a slight wave. And the heights are varied. Varied for variation. So it's not all the same, not all boring. Every piece of seaweed is not the same height. Now our seaweed, if you look at it here, in this example, this is pretty fat. We can make it a little bit thinner to make it more interesting. So what I'm going to do, go ahead, and now you're going to bring the 3 lines back down to the bottom of the page, but we're going to keep it at the top, we're going to keep it very thin, and then I'm going to gradually follow this line, follow the curve, go slow and do this neatly, and I'm going to just make it a little bit thicker as I reach the bottom. Again, I'm giving variation in my seaweed. Fat to skinny, and that's actually called a gradation too. A gradation in size. Skinny, fat. And we go right down to the bottom of the page. And then at the very bottom, if you want to go ahead and put, I don't have it on my page, but if you want to add some sand, just make a line go across the page, connecting. And this can be the gravel or the sand. This will be the bottom of mine. My page is a little bit smaller. Right there. Okay, now we're going to start our fish. We're going to add some fish in here. And our fish are going to be really simple. They're going to be kind of like a sunfish shape. So let's start with 1 fish. Maybe you want to start it over here, near the top if you have some blank area. And I'm just going to show you how to go ahead and do the fish, and then we can make bunches of fish. Schools of fish, actually, right? If you draw, look, this is a backwards number 3. Okay, we want to make sure we have enough room for the tail. We're going to plan it. So I want to have, here's my lips, and then my tail's going to end right here near the edge. So I'm going to bump it up from the edge. I'm going to bump in a little bit, and this is where my fish will end. So now I'm just going to connect. I'm going to now connect, and I want to connect it so it's kind of like a fatter sunfish. So watch me first. I'm going to come up, curve, and go straight down to the number 1. Now the bottom, wait for me to do this, and then you can do both. I want it to be kind of a wider fish so we can get a lot of pattern in here. Wide, it's kind of like a football shape, the sunfish, okay? So up, back down to the number 1 where our tail's gonna start, down, right to the end of the number 1 where the tail ends. Now we're gonna do the tail. I'll give you a second to do that. Now we're gonna do the tail, and we're gonna go diagonally up toward the edge of our page and diagonally down toward the edge of our page. These are very easy. And again, there's no right or wrong. You don't even need to erase. That's why we're doing it straight with marker. Now we're going to take the fish tail, and we're just going to go diagonally in and then diagonally out to the end of our tail. So I go slow diagonally in toward the middle. Here's my middle line. And then I go diagonally out. Now these are our lips. So if you want to draw a line down, here's some fish lips. Number 1. And if you come up, we're not going to put the eyes real close to the lips. We're going to come up. It's going to be near the edge of our line, but jumping down. It's about 2 fingers maybe. And do these nice and big. We're going to kind of exaggerate. We add the pupil, which is a black dot. And then you can do some rings around this. Concentric circles right around it. And then we can put the fins. Top fin comes up diagonally and diagonally up, and I'm going back. As I do my diagonal line, I'm going diagonally toward the corner. And a small bottom fin down here, shorter bottom fin. And again, it's diagonally toward the edge of the page here, toward the tail. Because these, as they swim, they go back. Now this you can have U's, draw U's or V's. These are the fins of the part that you got to watch out for when you catch your fish, because these are pretty pointy up at the top. So that's one of our fish. Okay, so here's one of the fish right here that we started. Right in here. Now we're going to go ahead, and now that you know how to draw this fish, you're going to now fill up the entire page with the schools of fish. And we're going to do what's called overlapping. So watch me first. If you put down your pen now, instead of doing it with me, you're going to watch how I'm going to overlap and layer the fish. And this will create depth in the painting and picture. It'll make it look like there's fish that are far away, fish that are close up. It'll really give the feeling of the school of fish. And we're going to layer behind the seaweed. We're not going to draw our lines on top of it. So let me show you how to draw a really giant fish back here. And you're going to do the same process as this fish, just repeating it and changing the size of the fish. You want some babies and some big ones. So change the size and change where you place them. So starting again with your lips, you start with your lips, then you find where you want your tail to end. You don't want the tails ending all in the same place. Variation, variety, keep it in different places. Maybe this tail's going to end right here. So this is me as an artist controlling what my picture is going to look like by setting my boundaries, beginning, end. So now I'm going to draw my fish body. It really helps set my boundaries. It's planning. Artists always plan where they place things. So watch me first. So here's a fish. This is overlap. This is going behind the seaweed. Then I put all my details in. I can stick those in later. Now I can do another fish. Look, I don't want these all to line up. I don't want the lips to all line up. I'm going to start one maybe here. I'm going to put some lips in here. Tail will end, say, here. This is going to be quite a big fish. Remember, variety. Give a variation in size. You don't want them all the same. The same is boring, right? Here's one here. Now maybe another one. Maybe I'll have it here. Lips. This will be a smaller one. Tail ending. Maybe a fatter. So I'm sticking in all the fish. Now if you want to do this, now what you're going to do is once you have all your fish in, and as you do your fish, it's better if you actually do the fins and everything. I'm just trying to hurry. So as you do each fish, make sure you get your fins done, because as you overlap, you need to have the fins in the proper place. I'm just going to stick them in. Now, what you're going to do, this will be a short fin here. And now, say your fish, you have all your composition, all your fish are filling up. Maybe you want part of a fish showing. Maybe this is just the fish tail. The rest have gone off the page. So here's my fish body. Here's my fish tail. See how I have just some fish heads? Here's fish body here with a little bit of tail. Now once you have all your fish put in, if you want to add any more seaweed, you can. You can even have seaweed going behind the fish. At this point, we have some in the front. Now we have some behind a fish. And whenever you do that, you stop at the fish and then come up. Now, once you have all your fish drawn, look at this. You're going to choose different line patterns, and you're going to invent different kinds of patterns and designs, and each fish will be filled with different pattern and design. Now let me show you how you do one of them, okay? As you're inventing your patterns, or you're just making up different patterns for each fish, what you want to do, I'll just do this one that's close, is you want to make sure that whenever you draw anything, you're taking your time, you do it slowly and neatly. If you scribble and do it fast, the line pattern, these line patterns won't look as good, because this is a line design. Now you can change out your markers. You can do these line patterns with oil pastel and then paint on top, however you want to do them. You can keep it just black and white like I did this picture here. But watch how I'm going to do my line patterns. I'm doing it very slowly and carefully. I'm thinking about my design, and as I'm tracing these edges here, look, I'm tracing it to keep it the same. These are pretty much parallel. They're equal distance apart, even though they're curvy. So I'm doing it neatly. I'm going to skip a space on this pattern. This is going to be kind of like a clownfish. But I'm doing it slowly and carefully. My lines intersect at the places, at the ends of the line. Okay, they don't overlap. They don't stop. Some kids will go so fast that they stop right here. They don't finish the whole line. You want your lines to intersect perfectly. Neatness counts. This is part of craftsmanship in art. Now when you do these kind of lines here, you can fill these fins with neatly drawn straight lines, because the fins are usually straight and pointy. These kind of like have needles at the ends. Some fish, these fins, these tips even have little bits of poison that they release. You know, depending on the variety of the fish. Most fish don't have poison, but some fish do. They'll sting you, or stingers. They'll actually hurt. Okay, so whatever you're doing as you're adding your pattern, go slow and neat, because neatness counts. That's all part of craftsmanship. Okay, and then you fill in each fish with different kinds of patterns. And today I have with me some second graders. And I'm going to show a couple fish examples from my second graders today. Let's see, I'll take this one. And this is a nice pattern at the top. And I'll do this one. Remember, when you do your fish, you don't want to draw your lines on top of anything.